Hi, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. If you guys actually watch these while these have been posted, I apologize again. I unfortunately got ill. No, I'm not suffering from continuously degrading health problems or anything. I've just had the misfortune of being around sick people all the time. Actually, I think last time might have been a case of food poisoning, which I thought before, but I think that since everybody's been sick this whole time, I got it from them, but my symptoms were different, and this time I got the symptoms that everybody else had. And the last time it lasted kind of shorter as this dragged on a little bit. I'm not going to go into any more detail, so if you're worried, don't worry. I'm fine. I'm just kind of recovering, playing video games. Thank goodness I can do that. I mean, the whole time I was sick, I wanted to make a video. So today we're playing Battlefield Hardline for the PlayStation 4, also available on just about every system or every console except the Wii U. The Wii U doesn't get anything lately unless it's made by Nintendo and sometimes Ubisoft or Ubisoft, however you're supposed to say it. I don't want to sound illiterate. I'm aware of both terms, and I've heard people say it two different ways. Just like, I believe it's Final Fantasy 0, but I've been hearing people call it Final Fantasy O. By the way, if you don't like me not staying on topic, that's part of the channel, so sorry, but hopefully you'll like the randomness. Anyway, so this is on PS4, Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS3, and PC. Obviously, depending on your hardware, you're going to probably get the best experience from the PC if you like PC games. I personally like playing on a console. I've heard some things that are better graphically on the Xbox One, which is kind of shocking, but I also know that the Xbox One runs on 720p, while the PS4 is 900p, which is the same exact resolutions they were on Battlefield 4, which I wonder if DICE didn't help out too much with optimizing it since it's their engine. I don't know. It plays fine. It looks fine to me. I don't know what the graphical differences are, and that might be frame rate related, but I can understand the Xbox One having a better frame rate if it's running at 720p. Because it's having to worry about less things, but whatever. I like it perfect on PlayStation 4, so I don't know. I never played any version except the PlayStation 4 version, so let's get going. I know you guys don't like to watch the menu screens. Trying to pick an interesting level. See. I think this is the one I want to start at. I almost restarted the whole campaign. Good thing I didn't do that. Alright, restart episode. This is the first time I went back to play anything, so I'm not really familiar with how to do this. We'll play as, I guess the default difficulty was officer. I can't remember. We'll just play as officer. I don't want to play as veteran and die a lot or something for the video. Are you sure you want to start a new episode? Well, yeah. Since you insist. So, I think this is the best single-player Battlefield campaign since the Bad Company games. I still think the Bad Company games had the better campaign. I like I think Bad Company 2, this has the episodic TV like content that you might have saw in games like Resident Evil Revelations and trying to think. I know Alone in the Dark did it, and I can't remember. Even though it's one of my favorite games, Alan Wake might have done it too. I think Alan Wake had the episodic TV content type of format. I'm gonna try to skip the story stuff as much as I can. I don't think I have an option to skip the story of this part. But yeah, I think I like Battlefield Bad Company's 1 campaign more. But I think Battlefield 2 is more refined. It's a little bit more linear, but I think that series is great, and I would love to see it revisited, but I think this is probably the third best campaign. I think the last 2 Battlefield games before this were fun, but weren't as good as the Bad Company games. If I would have to say like my favorites completely in order, I'm going to talk while they're talking. You can read the subtitles if you want. I'll say it from best to least. So we'll go to Bad Company 1, Bad Company 2, Hardline, Battlefield 4, and Battlefield 3. They're all fun campaigns, but this feels a lot more fleshed out. Visceral Games, who made the Dead Space games, they also made Dante's Inferno, which doesn't have much in common with any parts of the Divine Comedy. It's like its own interpretation, which is funny. It comes with a Divine Comedy on the PlayStation version that you actually can read, which is like this long poem, like written like hundreds of years ago. I sound like some idiot talking about it. Written by a poet that was actually named Dante or whatever, but it was actually called the Divine Comedy because hell was only one part of it, and then it actually covered like heaven and purgatory and stuff like that. I love the illustrations in the book, but you get like a text version, but Visceral Games made that and made him into like this action hero, which never happened. Usually Dante was always cowering behind everything that he saw, like in the poem, like disgusted as you naturally would be. So I haven't read the reviews, but I've been talking to people who have, and they said a gripe was the graphics. Well, this is running at 60 frames. I'm curious what the 30 frame 360 and PS3 version look like. I knew that Battlefield 4 kind of took a step down from the graphics a little bit from Battlefield 3 because there's just so much being pushed, but I mean, the environments are all destructible, which you rarely see in a game that runs at 30 frames per second, let alone 60. Like Call of Duty usually runs at 60, and the only thing you can break are bottles and maybe windows, since I don't think you could break these windows because I don't think there's any geometry behind them. Good thing we're not going for stealth here. So you have the option to actually arrest people and use stealth and stuff like the Metal Gear games, and you also have to, there's your Far Cry things. I was playing Borderlands and I pushed the button to pull up the menu for Borderlands when I meant to push this, but the button that does that on this game actually throws a bullet casing to get someone's attention like you would in Far Cry 4. So I found all the evidence, so I should be able to get out of here. This is the first time that I played it after I beat the game, so I didn't know if it remembered everything. But the more stealthy you are, which is weird the way it does it, the more weapons you unlock, which use weapons to not be stealthy. Maybe in a sequel, I would like to see maybe a few stealthier approach to get more non-lethal weapons, like this taser that you won't get full points for arresting somebody, but you'll get like half of the points, which is good if like you're in a firefight and you still want to get the suspect without killing them. If you could get like more like non-lethal weapons, that would have been cool. And then the more people you shoot, maybe that's when you would unlock the lethal weapons. But I don't know. I have a feeling some of this stuff might be released in DLC, but in a Battlefield game, I've never seen downloadable single player DLC. So I don't know what we'll see. I honestly, without having the evidence kind of guide me, it's a little bit harder, because usually you would find stuff in the right direction that you had to go. But I like this level because you eventually get to go into a hurricane, which if I get out of here, it would make the video not only more interesting, but more fun for me. But I think this is the most realized Battlefield single player campaign since Battlefield Bad Company, in my opinion. The multiplayer, on the other hand, kind of feels somewhat, at least to me, it has different modes, it has police officers and stuff, but it almost feels like a reskin expansion pack of multiplayer Battlefield 4, and that's just my opinion. I felt that way with the beta, and then I was like, I'll give it a chance before I come to a final conclusion, but I played it again on the final release, and I felt like it still felt like reskinned Battlefield 4 with like less weapons, because I mean, you're cops and robbers, so you're not going to have access to all the military grade shit. Now, I don't know what the expansion packs are going to bring, but I think if I ever get the expansion packs, I might wait till it comes on disc, because I always feel like I'm burned. I'll spend a shitload of money on like the expansion pack, which is like, well, the season pass, which is like $50. I usually give in on the Battlefield games, and then they'll come out with some edition that has like everything on it. The game isn't this confusing when you have to look for evidence. It actually makes you kind of go like in the general direction you need to go, but without any guidance, it's a little bit difficult. And this game does not have the guy that has follow hovering over his head. Man, I sure did pick a hell of a space to start at. I think it wants me to go upstairs, but my memory's telling me I had to go back downstairs after I found the evidence, but I don't know. I think it lets you keep the evidence because, you know, like if you want to gather all the stuff that you missed, because you can miss some of the evidence, and then you gotta, I don't think it hurts the game. Maybe you get like a special ending. This game does end on a cliffhanger, FYI, which I don't think is always the wisest decision. I mean, the gameplay is satisfying. Like, I can play this single player game multiple times and still have fun, but story wise, it did kind of end abruptly without any kind of closure on really much of anything, in my opinion, except maybe the main villain, which I guess is sort of closure. And I'd be fine with that as long as I'm guaranteed a sequel, but I think that's kind of risky doing it I don't know how I didn't see these stairs before. I think it's risky kind of doing it on your first try at a series because you never know whether it's going to be a success or a failure. You know, I'm supposed to go on this or look at this clue or whatever. I guess some things it still doesn't remember that you did. He always seems to know the code somehow. I don't know how, but he does. I figured maybe he'd scan them with his fingerprints. Maybe that's what I have to do. Your scanning thing's probably the only real unrealistic weapon. I don't think they really have one of those. But I've heard from people who've read a lot of the reviews that people complain about the graphics. I think the graphics look fine. Maybe I haven't played enough PC games, but now that I have a better PC games, the games that I'm playing that are supposed to drastically look better, a lot of times only look marginally better. So I don't know. Like I said, sometimes I think people are just negative sometimes about games just because it gets more views. Sometimes people are being honest. They legitimately don't like the games. Sometimes I think people review games that don't even like video games, to be honest with you. And another friend actually made an interesting point, which could be very much the case. Sometimes people get angry when they don't get sent a review copy or are not sponsored by a certain company, and they'll take it out on their review of the actual product, which I could totally see happening with some people. Because I have seen people on YouTube whine and wail that they haven't gotten enough money or they're unrightfully flagged and blah blah blah, they didn't get enough money for that, and they're literally getting paid to review video games, which to me would be one of the best games on earth, because I kind of make videos just for the fun of it. If I got paid for just making videos just for the hobby or whatever, I'd be stoked. But I mean, I guess it's upsetting to get flagged if you feel like you're unrightfully, but I've seen people cry and moan and beg that they didn't get enough money or people weren't nice to them on YouTube. And a lot of these people are already kind of buttholes because, I don't know, they think they're like celebrities. And I guess in some ways, in a small community, they might be. But at the same time, I mean, I don't think they're respectful to their viewers, which kind of sucks. Even if I don't fully agree with the people, I try to stay respectful a little bit.
Yeah, all right. Just stay in contact.
Lousy time for a hurricane, huh?
Alright, I'm going to show you one time of how to do this. Because I don't want to use stealth this playthrough. Be honest with you. So you can freeze people and then arrest them. If somebody sees you arresting somebody, then all people all go looking for you and shooting at you, and that's usually when you have to use the taser. I wish there was more non-lethal weapons. I believe you also can knock them out. You have a variety of melee weapons you can choose from, but they all basically work the same. I think it's more of a aesthetic thing. But I think I really like this level just because of the hurricane. I've been through a hurricane and I just believe it captures the essence, just like there's a level in the Everglades that really captures essence of how terrible the Everglades are. Everglades is what I imagine hell being like. It's like basically a humid, hot swamp with a lot of different things that can kill you, and that's not even what I worry about the most. Usually it's just the bugs will basically eat you alive. Every time you step on grass, there's like 15 billion things that are trying to take your blood from you. You'll wake up in the morning, you'll look like you have the measles. When I played this game, when I beat it, I played this level super stealthy, but since I'm making a video, I'm not going to be stealthy. I just wanted to show you how the stealth worked. Hopefully I succeeded in that. I'll show you how the taser looks. I'm probably going to get killed before that. There, you get 100 points, whatever. My level's already maxed, and you max out your level pretty fast if you play this game stealthy, because I think the game expects you to shoot more, but oops, wrong button again. Oh, I gotta go to a weapons thing. You have to excuse me, I was playing Borderlands 2 before, not Borderlands. I don't really like the first Borderlands, but I do like Borderlands 2. I've yet to play the pre-sequel. I figured I'd eventually finish Borderlands 2 and then play the pre-sequel. I think the second game's more friendly with solo play, which I kind of prefer in Borderlands. Yeah, you die a lot. Even though I got shot point blank with a shotgun, you do die a lot easier. So these are all the weapons I've unlocked by playing stealth fully. I've unlocked most of them. Just give you an idea. Get all these fine assortment of designs. Silver plated, why not? I didn't unlock as much as this stuff, but there were situations where I just felt like I couldn't use stealth, but then I got really good with the taser, so maybe if I went back and did it. And I think multiple plays would probably win you more stuff. See, most of this stuff are like tools to get from point A to point B, or stuff maybe used for multiplayer, or I guess an ammo box would help you out somewhat. Sometimes your teammates actually throw you a first aid kit, but the zip lines are obviously one of the big draws. I would think that the grappling hook and zip line would be the same thing depending on how you shot it, but they decided to make it two different things, which I think is odd, but I mean, it's up to them, it's their game, and it's just the same thing. And then you have this, you can go good fellas with a golf club, but yeah, I'm gonna turn both my guns into silver plated because, I mean, why not? But in this game they also call backup if you get caught a lot, so you end up fighting twice as many people. Now my guns are all nice and shiny, but as far as graphics go, I think this game looks great, especially at 60 frames per second and being able to keep environmental destruction. Unfortunately, since you don't have the kind of military grade weapons that you would in the Battlefield games. You don't get the blow up stuff like you could in Battlefield 4, at least in the multiplayer. I noticed in Battlefield 4 though, there wasn't a lot of destruction. This game seems to have a lot of destruction built in, despite you not being able to have the weapons to blow up everything like you would want to, but it's still impressive. There's not a lot of shit you can hide behind in this game. I'm wasting all my bullets. I might do it in the future, like a multiplayer version, but I think the single player kind of takes up enough time for a video. Sorry. I know I shouldn't do videos when I'm still kind of out of it, but it's my channel. I can do whatever I want. You can watch a video where I feel 100%, but you won't see single player Battlefield Hardline. But Battlefield Hardline, I meant Battlefield 4 presented you with all these cool weapons, but a lot of the stuff in the single player campaign wasn't destructible. There was only like destructible set pieces. I don't even know why I'm using that reflex sight. I've gotten pretty good at being able to shoot from the hip. I'm saying that now, but I'm doing an awful job of it. Since this gun uses their AK-47 bullets, I don't really have to worry. Like, I wouldn't shoot from the hip at this distance. I shouldn't be shooting at all, because I suck at this. That's why, if you watch me play multiplayer, since I haven't played it enough, I'm not very good at it. And it's like, I have like a sudden heart attack or stroke, and I just fall down, and I don't even know where the guy's coming from. That's because I'm not used to it. Also, all my weapons are like leveled down, or I don't have good enough weapons. So I have to hit somebody more than they would have to hit me unless I directly shoot them in the head, and I just don't have those kind of reflexes. I'm guessing the weapons get stronger. I'm sure the people are just really good too, but I just suck at multiplayer. But I know in Battlefield 4 it's a little bit easier because you get more powerful weapons. I'm getting the impression you can blow up vehicles, because even when you shoot like heavy vehicles, it lets you know when you made contact with the vehicle, even if it's a heavy armored vehicle. I notice I still have it in colorblind mode because the red's a little bit faded out. I can see the red fine. It's like when I see the text over the heads of the enemies, I switched it to be different colors like in multiplayer, but it really hasn't helped that much unless people tag the enemies, because they're kind of like, they don't really tag the enemies. Sorry, I was at a loss for words, but I'm gonna stop here. You guys basically know what it looks like. I'm not playing this game. I do promise that I beat this game. I actually think I beat it on the higher difficulty than this, but I'm still getting back into the swingy things. I was just able to play video games yesterday, so what do I think about this game? Like I said, I think it's the third best Battlefield game. I think the multiplayer is I guess on par with Battlefield 4. I do think if you got the addition of Battlefield 4, if you wanted to play a Battlefield game just for the multiplayer, I think Battlefield 4 is probably the better way to go. But if you want a better Battlefield 4 multiplayer experience, I would definitely go for this game. That's just a matter of opinion, but that's my opinion. I just think that there's, with the disc that they have out now for Battlefield 4 that has like basically the season pass with like a huge amount of weapons, a huge amount of maps, a bunch of different modes and stuff. Granted, they're not cop and robber related. Maybe that appeals to you more because they have like heist mode and all this stuff, which I didn't get to cover in this, but it depends how much the cops and robbers thing feels to you, or I don't know how important it is to you. Sorry again, I'm at a loss of words because I can't think straight. And yeah, but I think Battlefield 4, the premium edition or whatever they're calling whatever edition they have that has all the seasons pass, which I imagine they'll have on this game, and then maybe it'll be a completely different thing, because I mean Battlefield 4 kind of was light on maps and stuff too when it first came out. But if you're just going for multiplayer and you don't have Battlefield 4, I would go for that. Now, if you want an interesting single player campaign with multiplayer, I would go for this game. And I'm not taking price or anything like that into consideration. I'm just talking about gameplay, content, and fun factor here. Yeah, it just depends what you want. I think this has a better single player campaign than Battlefield 4. And again, it's like you have to ask yourself, I guess, how many times did you replay the single player campaign of Battlefield Bad Company? Did you play those more than once? Then you'll get more than your equivalent of gameplay if you replay the single player game over and over again. And the stealth option is kind of cool. It reminds me a lot of Metal Gear Solid, especially with the vision cones and stuff like that. And if you like the Battlefield experience, it's not going to be a huge multi-hour campaign like the likes of like Far Cry 4 or whatever. But if you like the physics and the destructible environments and stuff of the Battlefield games, of the last few Battlefield games that have come out that weren't Bad Company, you want something next gen that has a decent single player campaign, this is the way to go in my opinion. But as far as if you're just going for multiplayer, you might want to wait until they have the season pass on one disc, and then you'll have the multiplayer. I personally am not a huge fan of multiplayer, and when I play multiplayer, I do prefer Battlefield 4, but to be fair, I haven't given the multiplayer enough, so just based on the single player campaign, I would choose this over the last 3 Battlefield games that have come out. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you on the next video. Sorry, I'm sort of out of it. Hopefully there was some enjoyable content to get out of this. I think this game is hopefully a fantastic start to a good series. I can't wait to see more of this series if it warrants a sequel. But anyway, if you like this video, feel free to click the thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel and enjoyed the content, feel free to subscribe, and please feel free to leave a comment, positive or negative. If you choose to leave a negative comment, please make sure the criticism is constructive and you're not being disrespectful to me or anyone else on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all your support, and hopefully I'll be making videos in a timely manner soon. Talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.